All right, everyone, welcome to your election unit. So exciting. Today, we're just going to talk a little bit about notes on the election and the differences between liberal, conservative, how kind of the election process works, who's in the House, who's in the Senate. And then in class, you're also going to be, not only are we going to do these notes in class, this is just for if you were gone or need a refresher, we're also going to be doing a test that will tell you if you're liberal or conservative, which would be Democrat or Republican, or more in the middle. And your generation is definitely more in the middle. You guys kind of pop back and forth. So it's kind of interesting for you to make up your own decisions. The slide you're looking at right now, titled Liberal versus Conservative, these are just examples, okay? This is not the end-all be-all. This is not exactly how it is. These are examples of what typically people believe in if they're either on the left side or the right side, which would be Democrat or Republican. So I always say you don't need to know all of these, and again, they're examples. Just have an idea of what makes up a liberal person or a conservative person. None of these are right or wrong. They're all just ideas, like I said. So let's look at the left column first. Left is going to be more Democrat, okay? And all the things underneath the Democrat column are typically what Democrats believe in. So they believe in abortion rights, which is pro-choice, meaning the woman has a choice. A lot of people always forget what pro-choice and pro-life mean, so that's why I wanted to make sure that was in there. Typically, Democrats, or if you're on the left side, which is more liberal, are going to be against the death penalty. They're for gun restrictions. They're for gay marriage, for a strong national government, for taxing the wealthy, for government providing services, for laws protecting the environment, decreased military spending, pro-immigration, so that'd be people coming into the country, and legalizing marijuana. Again, these are all examples of typically what's on the Democratic side for values and beliefs. On the right side, which is going to be our Republican, right's kind of easy to remember because R for right, R for Republican, so that's how a lot of people remember it more. Here are some values or beliefs that people that are typically more conservative or right-sided or Republican believe in. Ending abortion, so that would mean pro-life. So no matter what, if you're pregnant, you're having the baby. So that's pro-life. So I know it's always hard to remember pro-life versus pro-choice. You're typically for the death penalty, against gun restrictions, against gay marriage, for strong local governments, for taxing equally everyone, for companies providing services, for example, like big companies like Amazon, FedEx, those type of things. Against laws protecting the environment, increasing military spending, anti-immigration, and illegalizing marijuana. And while you're looking at this list, some of you guys are like, wait, I'm on both sides. And that totally can happen. And like I said, your generation especially could be on both sides. So that's why we're also going to take the quiz. Election cycle. There are 10 things that make up our election, okay? That's really how it goes. There's just 10 steps to becoming a president and how it works. So the very first thing is going to be an exploratory committee. That's when you kind of put out feelers. You get a group together, put out feelers. If I ran, would people vote for me? After that, you declare your candidacy. You announce to the world you're running. Trump, I think, did it on Twitter and at one of his hotels, and Biden did it from his hometown. Then you have debates, and oh boy, have debates been different this year, especially now that we're just down to Trump and Biden. Debates is just really getting to know that candidate. And along with debates that kind of go together is campaigning. You have to start campaigning, and you're going to campaign in those states that could be a swing state, which we talked about in class, which is why you see Trump and Biden and all their campaign coming here so much to Minnesota. We have primaries a year before the election. There are two different types of primaries. One is called an open primary. That's where anyone can participate, and that's what we have. We also have closed primaries in some parts of this country. Every state does it differently, which is hard to remember and hard to understand why. Why do we all do this differently? You'd think we'd all do it as one, but that's kind of where we get into our states' rights. Closed primaries, only a party member can participate. So you'd have to be a registered party member of the Republican, Democrat, or Independent Party. Caucuses is number 6. That's when delegates are chosen to represent the state's interests at the National Party Convention. So a caucus is just a small meeting of people that you can gather, and you would vote to see who goes to represent you at the National Convention. Because if you remember, the National Convention was done differently this year because of COVID. So at the National Convention is where they officially announce who's going to run for the Democratic Party and who's going to run for the Republican Party. Then we got our general election, which is coming up. And then electoral college voting. How many votes do you need to win? Hopefully everyone's saying 270. And then we got our inauguration held in January, which is in Washington, D.C. Just a few terms. I'm just going to put them all up and I'll explain them. The electors is the people that solely vote for and elect the president and the vice president of the United States. That's their job. You need 270 to win. There's 538 total. A whip is a role, actually, at the White House. There's a House of Representatives whip and a Senate whip, and there's one for Republicans and one for Democrats. Their job is just basically to make sure that their party's in attendance when major votes are taken and making sure everyone's following the rules. Absentee. This is how I voted this year. A lot of you guys could vote this way in future elections. It's just kind of easier to do it from home. It's just an option if you're out of town, overseas, or can't make it to the polls. You always can vote, and absentee is an easy way to do it. They just mail your ballot at home. It's just sometimes you don't get the I voted sticker. Miss Thompson, she got hers in the mail. I didn't get one this year, so I was kind of bummed about that. A few more terms to continue. Platform. This is a political stance that candidates are taking and speaking about during the campaign. Holy cow, have we heard? I think the main one is COVID, right? That is a platform that every president or candidate, Trump and Biden, have been talking about to death. We have to figure out this pandemic, and it is a hot topic and an important topic, and that's definitely one of the platforms we hear. Congressman, just so you guys know, means they're a member of Congress. That's just House of Representatives and the Senate. Polling places where we go vote. Okay, my polling place when I vote in person is at Oxbow Elementary in Champlin. Some of you guys might vote at City Hall. Some of you might vote at a church. It's all over the place. Exit polling is just when you leave the poll. Sometimes there's someone at the news asking you, who'd you vote for? It's just a quick way to get a response of where we're at kind of as a society on polling day. Election day is like my Super Bowl. I can't wait. I'm so excited. Right now, we're in the current 116th Congress. There's no term limits. The advantage always goes to the incumbent. And you might ask, what's an incumbent? You've probably heard that word before listening to the news. An incumbent is a person in office already. Typically in Congress, if you're already in office, you have the advantage on winning the next election. That's why we don't have many one-term presidents. Usually, every president runs 2 terms. So it'll be interesting this year, especially because there's such a push to have Trump being a one-term president. You hear that kind of mentioned on political ads quite a bit. And then if Biden were to get elected, he'd be 82. So he might be a one-term president as well. But that's kind of what an incumbent is a person already in office. House of Representatives. That's our Speaker, Nancy Pelosi, right there. That's the picture of her. They're typically called congressmen, even if they're a woman. They're led by a Speaker of the majority, and Nancy Pelosi is a Democrat, so the Democrats have the majority of the House of Representatives. Remember, there's 435 people in the House of Representatives, and those numbers are determined by our census every 10 years. Also, we have the Senate. Yes, that is Mike Pence. Mike Pence is in charge of the Senate, so that would be if it's a 50-50 vote. Our vice president breaks the tie. There's 100 members, remember 2 per state. They get reelected every 6 years. And every 2 years, a third gets reelected. So that way we're not getting an entirely new Senate every 6 years. Almost done. Lastly, for terms, I'm just going to put all these up there. Oops. We have some media and politics terms. All of these terms with the media are things that we see every time on the news right now. Gatekeepers, they're the managers and the people reporting and deciding what stories to put on the air. Disseminators are the people distributing the news. So you might be able to think of some in your head even, like Ken Barlow or Amelia Santinello. Those would be disseminators. Muckrakers are investigative journalists. Public mobilizers in civic journalism are those people that go out to the city hall meetings, trying to get the civic opinion and local city opinions. And then horse-race journalism is just winners and losers. And media is so important right now with the election. All right, that's your intro notes. Good luck. See you guys soon.